Euthanasia isn't a pretty process. We do it for the love of the animal. Veterinarians have one of the highest suicide rates among all professions. Most veterinarians love animals more than humans themselves. Hi, I'm Alicia. I'm a small animal veterinarian, and today we're going to talk about the phrase, I could never put animals down for a living. I'd love them too much. This phrase is really tough. It's something that a lot of veterinarians hear over and over and over in their career. And people don't say it in a mean way, but the impact of that statement of saying that you could never do what we do because you love animals too much is basically implying that veterinarians don't love animals, which I don't know a single veterinarian that got into this field without a huge heart, passion, and just love for animals. I think people view euthanasia as this really sad process, and it is. It's incredibly emotional when you have the owners in the room, or if you don't have them in the room, there's always such high emotions. I always cry in my euthanasias, and that's okay. You're literally helping a life transition from, its living state to whatever you believe, is in the afterlife. And that is hard. You're saying goodbye to your best friend. You're watching people grieve. But veterinarians don't do euthanasias because they don't love the animals. In fact, it's the opposite. Veterinarians go into this field taking an oath to do no harm, provide care for animals to the best of their ability. Euthanasia is a gift. And it's an honor, and it's the privilege. It's something that I feel so strongly about that it is one of the best parts of our profession. And I get that it is such an emotionally draining part of our profession, and we'll get to that later. But the actual act of letting your animal pass with dignity and reducing their suffering is something that I wish, we could implement more in human medicine. And I've watched my own animals age, and aging is such a brutal process. I've watched my own animals lose the ability to walk, lose the ability to relieve themselves, lose their dignity. I probably have waited too long in some of my animals' cases to let them pass because I was holding on to them. But once I decided to be selfless and start that process of euthanasia, I felt this huge relief because I knew that they were no longer suffering. I knew that they were no longer going to have bodily pain. I knew that they were passing with all the dignity that they still had, and they weren't going to progress and lose even more. When people say, I can never do what you do, that's fair. I can never do what a mechanic does. I could never do what a dentist does. I don't want to do those things. So that's totally fair. But it's that additional aspect of because I love animals too much that I think really hurts veterinarians' feelings. And I can just speak for myself. It hurts my feelings because, like I said, this is the most selfless act that not only you can do as an owner, but you can do as a veterinarian. Veterinarians have one of the highest suicide rates among all professions of reasons. And one of them being because we see death every day. We do euthanasias every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. We have access to euthanasia medications, and we have a knowledge of the process of euthanasia. There's also other reasons about why veterinary suicide rates are so high, and we can do a video on that because it's something that needs addressed in this profession. But because veterinarians are acting selflessly to help your animals pass on peacefully, it is taking a toll on them. So it is not without love, without passion, without kindness that they are doing this act. It is quite the opposite. So let's stop saying that phrase because at the end of the day, most veterinarians love animals more than humans themselves. We go into this profession because of our love for animals. Euthanasia isn't a pretty process. You're losing your best friend or you're watching someone lose their best friend. But at the end of the day, we do it for the love of the animal. All right, that was a little dark and heavy, but just something that I wanted to bring to your attention because not everyone knows. So let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like to see, and don't forget to subscribe and like.